Hi everybody and welcome back to our channel. I'm Tracy.
And I'm Rob.
Thank you for coming. We wanted to talk to you today about the top 7 mistakes that we made when we first went Tesla camping.
Pretty epic fails.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to learn from your mistakes, and we certainly did, but we wanted to share some of those with you.
So that you don't have to make the same mistakes that we did.
Unless you want to fumble around in the mud.
So, first, before we get into those mistakes, we love Tesla car camping. We don't like regular camping, never have. We didn't start.
Actually, Robert
one of us.
Isn't really a camper. So when you listen to our channel, you'll understand that we didn't have a lot of camping equipment because we never went camping. This is like the first time we've ever tried this. And so I have to say it was a lot of fun, but you just don't need that much equipment. And we'll talk about that later in the channel. But, if you have any questions, you can put your comments your questions in the comments below.
And, and no questions are dumb questions. And the biggest thing, I think, is to keep it simple. So we're going to try to tell you the things that you need to do that will avoid a lot of problems.
And it's supposed to be fun.
Yes. And, there's going to be problems. It's just problems in any daily life. But these 7 things, if you avoid them, then you're beating most of the problems.
You're well on your way. And this is for people who don't camp and want to have an adventure in their Tesla Model Y. So the first thing is check out the weather forecast. And we live in the South, and even we have occasional pop-up storms, and that's what'll get you. So make a plan for a pop-up storm, and we can talk about that a little bit later. But what do you have to say about that, Rob?
Well, we always call it our shakedown cruise. Is whenever we're trying something new, there's just things that are going to go wrong. So you just kind of plan accordingly. And I would recommend that before you go and make a 7-day trip car camping. Go to your local park or somewhere. You can do it in your driveway. I don't care. But car camp, practice it, and make sure everything is working. But weather is the key, because just don't even do it. If it's rainy, it's time to go get a hotel.
Right, and we have a plan for that too. Have a plan B if you're on a road trip or something like that. It's always nice to have a plan B, but also always just be mindful of the weather.
Weather is the worst because it can be dangerous, and the storms and the lightning and all that kind of stuff. But 2, it's just miserable. Most times in these campsites, and we're really talking about RV camping, parking in an RV campground, most of them have kind of the sand gravel thing. Some of them may have concrete that wouldn't be as terrible, but just a wet, soggy tent.
It gets all your equipment wet, and it really dampens your experience.
So, best advice, go car camping when the weather is great.
Right. So the next thing is don't show up to a campground site without the right adapters. Can you talk about that, Rob?
Yeah, so adapters are key. When we did our shakedown cruise, I didn't have any right adapters. I didn't have a lot of things, but all I had was the regular plug-in AC power, which is a trickle charge, and that's not going to do much overnight.
But we did do it, and we were happy with ourselves for giving it a shot.
Yeah, but RV campers usually have 2 different types of powerful RV plug-ins. One's a 30 amp and one's a 50 amp. Now, you can go get those specific adapters on Amazon.
Or if you have a credit on Tesla, which if you give anybody referral, or they, when they bought their Tesla Y, you're going to get a credit in the Tesla world, and you can use that towards adapters. That's what I would do. I mean, it's a little bit more expensive, but what are you going to use that credit for anyway?
Yeah, well, and whether you do it with credit or not, Tesla does give you a full complement. I can't remember where it's 8, 10, or 12, but it's adapters for all sorts of different options, and would cover anything you come across in an RV campground. So
we learned our lesson. We bought some more adapters that are more adaptable. Even though we had a 30 amp, we had a 50 amp. And we went to a campground, and it only had 30 amp, but we didn't have a 30 amp.
So in that case, we had to go to a Tesla charging station.
Luckily, it was close by.
It was close, and filled it up, and then could use the camp mode all night long, and had plenty of charge to do that. You usually only use maybe 10% on a hot day in the Tesla per hour. So you can, you get a full charge, you'll have more than enough power and enough power to go back out and recharge again.
So just to say again, don't forget to get all the adapters. Get a 30 amp and get a 50 amp.
And there's a couple of different 30 amps. So, you just have to, and you could call ahead and check with the RV place and ask for what amp chargers they have. And you can talk to them and find out what adapters you're going to need, or you just buy them all.
Okay, we're back, and the next mistake we made is we just didn't understand camp mode. And that's okay. Camp mode is great. It keeps you cool at night when you're sleeping. But if you're not under charge in an RV park, for the same reason Robert and I weren't, we didn't have the right adapter, we cranked up camp mode and went to sleep and woke up in the middle of the night and realized that we used most of our charge. So camp mode will use your battery.
Especially, yeah. So
it was also hot.
It was really hot. And on this particular occasion, we didn't have a charger, and we were connected to a tent with the rear of our Tesla.
That's the next thing not to do. Don't make the mistake we did. We have this cool setup where you can hook a tent up to the back of the Tesla. And it's not especially for Tesla. We bought it at Costco. It's made for SUVs, and it's kind of neat. But in the heat of the summer, we had hooked up the tent to the back of the Tesla, and then cranked up camp mode and realized camp mode is not going to be powerful enough to warm the tent space.
Not when it's 95 degrees.
Or cool the tent space.
Yeah, no. So you're losing all your air and all the efficiency of the Tesla Y when you open the back, and and so you can have a tent attached in ideal weather where you don't have to rely on your camp mode. That's kind of cool. But the whole reason to camp in a Tesla Y, I think, is to use your camp mode. Yeah, it is, and to be comfortable in your car. Your reason you have a tent is not for being hooked up to it. It is so that you can store your stuff. You can get your stuff out of your car, out of your back space, and put it in the tent, and you have a place to hang out in the tent during the day.
If there's mosquitoes or bugs or anything.
Yeah, so a tent is always good, and it's another bonus of actually having the tent, because sometimes RV sites will not allow you to camp just with the car. You have to have a tent.
That actually happened to us in Fort Wayne, Indiana. We can talk about that in another video, but yeah, so there's some campsites that won't just let you pull your car up and camp. So it's also good to just have a tent as a decoy, even if you're not sleeping in it.
So to add insult to injury, the day that we set up the tent on the car and the hottest day of summer, which was another mistake, that's not the greatest time to go car camping. You can do it, and it'll work, but do not hook the tent up to it. And so then about 2 o'clock in the morning, realized that we are not going to have enough power to get home, or to not run out of juice. So we had to unhook the tent.
This is in the middle of the night.
2:30 in the morning. We're out in a state park somewhere, Lebanon, and we drive to the charger, fill up the charger.
I don't know if you guys have noticed this in your Tesla Y, but it's a really quiet car when you're driving. I can't tell you how many animals we almost hit in the middle of the night. One of them was a dog sleeping in the middle of the street. Didn't even hear our car to get up.
Didn't even move. I had to drive around.
Yeah, we had to drive around the dog. So the Tesla Y it's quiet. So
it's a cool running quiet. So yeah. So by the time we got back to the tent, it had rained. So we get back to the tent, and now the tent is soaked. Everything is terrible. We parked the car.
It was a
It was an
epic
epic
fail.
The other thing you should always bring because sometimes you're just caught and you get caught in the rain, is bring the big 50-gallon or whatever they are, the big black trash bags. And I mean like 4 of them or 5 of them, because at least with those, when you tear down your tent and you can just put them right into there, tie them up, and put them in the car to deal with them when you get back
Now,
home.
again, we're talking to people who don't go camping very often. I'm sure that people who camp all the time already knew this trick, but
No.
we're newbies. We
Yeah.
did not know or realize that was a good idea, but we're sure glad we had them on hand.
Because you want to be able to not bring all the sand from the RV
just
site
in
into
your
your
car.
No.
No.
You want bags to cover for anything like
So the next thing is, don't go car camping without a comfortable bed set up. We have a very comfortable bed, and we were
It's
excited
almost-
to try it out.
it's-
It's really
that.
comfortable.
It's awesome. And we'll show you all that in another video. But
Stay
it's
tuned
crucial.
for the most comfortable bed in Tesla camping history.
Yes, and I'll preface it by saying it's a
blow-up mattress.
blow-up air mattress that is fitted for the Tesla.
Tesla Y.
And then on top we have a 3-inch foam
Bed topper.
bed topper. It's a twin.
And it's a twin XL.
Twin XL.
Left over from my daughter's dorm room. So, she's moving out of the dorm. The next year she's moving into a different dorm that has a different size bed. Thank you very much. So what do we do with this twin XL topper?
Oh,
We put it in the camper.
We
Put it in Tesla, and it worked great.
It is awesome. It is so comfortable. The air mattress levels out the laying ground, because if you don't have the air mattress, and it's pretty thin, it's like that. But it takes all the bumps and things and makes it smooth, and then you put the topper on it. Oh man. And you got the hatch closed and you're running the camp mode.
It's very comfortable.
It's not a problem.
Plus, with the moonroof, you can see the stars at night.
Oh,
it's
it's
really,
beautiful.
really nice.
It's really great. So that's the next thing. And there's some other things that we'll do a video on, all the different things that we bring when we go test the car.
Okay, so the next thing is kind of for the ladies. What do you think?
Oh.
Well, for the guys too, maybe.
Oh, I was totally.
Okay, before you decide, I mean, sometimes you have to pay in advance to camp. It's like $30.
Yeah, but $30, if it's not up to snuff,
No, we
I'll
need
eat the $30.
I know. Well, here's the thing: you need to check the bathroom
Yes.
before you set up camp, because sometimes they're nasty, and we saw it. It was gross, and it was dirty and muddy. And
all kinds of filthy
it's like,
things.
okay, I have to take a shower in that? No.
Nope.
No, you guys, we're seniors. If you're
No.
Tesla Y camping, you can afford to pull up stakes and go someplace else.
It was disgusting. And we had already committed so much. Everything was set up. And then we go to the restrooms and it was like, something happened here. And it.
But I also have a really good trick that I learned after we already went on our first camping trip. And it was just one night. But afterwards, I learned that there's an app called Dirt. And it reviews all of the campsites and their bathrooms. So I would say that I should have looked up this campsite on that website, or the app first. It's called DYRT, Dirt, and it's a free app. It's really cool because people will review the campsite ahead of time for you, so you can decide if you want to put down your $25 to $30 a night to pull in and charge. It's really important to have a tent when you go Tesla car camping, even if you just use it to store your gear in, because we talked about this earlier, is some campsites will not let you sleep in your car. If you just say, oh, I'm car camping.
They're like, oh, we don't allow that here.
And it's weird because you'd think, who cares? But
I'll pay my
for some
$30.
reason, they do care. And another thing is, keep your charging on the down low. And some of these places, they don't like it when Teslas come in and use power. I don't know why.
You're paying for the power. I don't think it's
the RVs use more power.
No, it's the fact that you don't have a tent and they don't want, I don't know, homeless people or whatever. Who knows? They have their own reasons, but
it's a thing.
It's a real thing.
And, so even if you just go to Walmart, buy a 2-person tent, put it up,
pop it up,
and just go along
take it down
with
before,
your day.
Yeah, just
because they're not driving around making sure you're sleeping in the tent.
No, and it's not that. It's just you have to make some kind of effort towards camping.
So that's about it for that's the top. That's some
7.
pretty big mistakes that we made when we were camping,
and the large majority of them were during our shakedown cruise, our shakedown camp, and
we learned a lot.
Yes. So if anything that could go wrong certainly did. So don't.
And we
let
hope
that
you
happen
learned
to
from
you.
us. And if you have questions, please leave them in the chat, and we'll try to get back with you. But thank you for listening, and we'll catch you up next time.